Ladies and gentlemen, today is a big day because we are hopping back into a long-running series on this channel. This is a series that kind of really jump-started this channel to be what it is today. It's called 10 Things You Didn't Know About Blank Game. So we started all the way back in Black Ops 3, and today we are diving into Modern Warfare. Now, these little things are small, intricate details that you probably wouldn't know unless you looked up a video like this one. Now, this is the first time we are doing this with Modern Warfare, so some of the things that we're going to be looking at today are a little bit more obvious, but I just wanted to make it for the general audience to show you guys some cool little things that you can do in game. Now, some of these things are just cool interactions in game, and that's kind of what we're going to start with today. So all I ask is if you enjoy this type of video and want to see more like this one, all you got to do to show me is simply hit that like button, and the more likes these video gets, the more likely and the more frequently I will upload videos like this one. So without further ado, I am going to shut up and let's dive in to 10 things you didn't know about Modern Warfare. So to start things out, one thing that you may or may not have seen on Reddit or Twitter or any of those other places is that one thing that you can actually do is place a Claymore on top of the recon drone. And then what you can do is fly that recon drone into an enemy, and the Claymore will actually blow up and kill the enemy. It's like a moving Claymore, as if Claymores weren't already powerful enough. But as you guys know on this channel, that's simply not enough. You gotta take it the next step and see exactly how far you can take this. So the next step was to try it with Wilson, and in fact Wilson does wear that Claymore proudly like a hat, and you can drive around, and as soon as you get close to an enemy, that Claymore explodes and kills them. So if you have a friend on your team and you get a Wilson, don't be afraid to give this one a shot. But once again, we had to try something further. So what we did is tested out C4. Now, it is a little bit more difficult to actually get that C4 onto the Wilson, but once again, it is possible. And the best part about this is if you're talking to your friend and all of a sudden run into a room with a whole bunch of enemies, you can tell them to explode the C4 and boom, that room is completely cleared out and they won't be shooting at your Wilson. So in other words, Claymores and C4s on your teammates' vehicles absolutely work. Moving on, another piece of information that's kind of surprising to me has to deal with thermal scopes. So if you didn't already know this, thermal scopes do not see through smoke in this game. I'm not sure why, I'm not sure if it's a bug, but as you can see here, as soon as the enemy actually goes into the smoke, you can no longer see them. So no more camping out objectives with a thermal scope and smokes because, well, it just doesn't work. So what I did is try to come up with ways that you could actually counter smoke, and I kind of came up with two. They're not great fixes, but they do work. The first of which is a new type of grenade called a snapshot grenade. So basically, what you want to do is as soon as the enemy throws a smoke, you throw the snapshot grenade in there, and then all of a sudden they're going to be outlined and you can see them through the actual smoke. It doesn't last long, but it gives you an idea as to where they actually are. The second of which is a little bit less reliable, but once again, it relies on another piece of equipment. So as soon as your enemy throws the smoke, what you're going to do is pull out a heartbeat sensor. Once again, it's not going to show you exactly where they are, but it gives you an idea of where you can actually shoot or where you can prepare to shoot once that actual smoke goes away. Now, one thing that you may have noticed simply by playing the game is that fall damage is a real thing, and there's really no good way of countering it. It seems that if you just fall 1 to 2 stories, your character is gonna die, almost as if he doesn't have any knees. And this has been a problem for me, but it's interesting because in a couple of areas on maps, they've implemented ways for you to fall from a very high distance and take very minimal damage. For example, on Karas River Quarry, if you're up at the top of the A building and you jump off into this dumpster here, you take very minimal damage and don't die. This is kind of reminiscent of the mattresses on Afghan back in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, where if you jumped off that cliff, normally you'd die, but if you landed on the mattresses, you'd take very minimal damage. It's kind of a cool thing that the developers have added into the game. Now, speaking of these little map design details, another great example of this is on Gunrunner. In the middle building of the map, called the Shower Building, there's actually a couple of vents that lead inside, and if you have enemies camping inside, you can actually shoot out these events or just throw grenades into them to try to eliminate the people inside. It's a great way to take out campers, and they can actually be found on both sides of the map. The front side by the door and the back side by the bathrooms. Now, one thing that we definitely know about within Modern Warfare is the weapon customization. There is a ton of attachments and different ways of setting up your weapons, and once you have it in that exact way you want it, maybe with that perfect camo and that perfect weapon charm just the way you want it, you might want to save it like that because you may want to change up your class. And there's actually a way to do that that you may not have known about. If you're on this menu and you press L2, it actually gives you an option to save it as a custom mod of that weapon. And you can enter whatever name you actually want, and then save it as a weapon modification. Then when you actually go to select a weapon, and let's say I was using the Kilo like before, I can go to my armory and have that specific weapon that I have already set up, which is a great way of keeping your best class setups completely set up and ready to go. The next thing that you may not have seen yet has to do with field upgrades. So once you hit level 45, you're going to have the option to have something called Pro Field Upgrades. And what this is going to allow you to do is use 2 different field upgrades at once. So when you're in game and you actually earn that field upgrade, what it actually does is give you the option to choose between those 2 field upgrades that you have chosen. So a good option for this is to use Dead Silence and Stopping Power, or Dead Silence and Munitions, because then based off of the scenario you are in game, you can choose what field upgrade is actually going to be best for you. It gives you more diversity while actually playing the game. Another thing that's kind of difficult to notice like this is your specialist streaks. So these have been in Call of Duty before, and basically what it allows you to do is use perks instead of kill streaks to become kind of a super soldier. Now you think this option would be within the kill streak menu, but it is not. You actually have to go over to your perks, press square, and that will activate your specialist kill streaks. Now, I believe that you actually have to be like level 29 to actually unlock this, but what it's going to do is replace your kill streaks with perks. You're able to choose 3 different perks that you unlock at 2, 4, 6, and then at 8, you unlock what's called a specialist bonus. Now, if you're using hardline, that's going to reduce it to 1, 3, 5, and 7 kills. And what the specialist bonus does is kind of the same as any other Call of Duty game that has had this. It gives you all or almost all of the perks within game. Now, the question is, why would you want to use this? And the answer to that is this is probably one of the best ways to become a super soldier and then therefore go for a nuke. Going for nukes in this game is rather difficult, but the thing is, once you have this, you, like I said before, become a super soldier. The only other way that might be better than this is using an advanced UAV. The problem with that is you're only able to earn one of those a life, whereas this stays with you for your entire life going for that nuke. Now, the other thing that's similar to this has to do with hardcore modes. It's very difficult to see that you can actually play hardcore within this game, but what you actually have to do is you have to go to your quick play, go to your filters, and then press square once you are inside of there, or whatever button it is on your console, and then it'll pop up with a bunch of different hardcore modes that it then allows you to play. So for those of you hardcore players who thought it wasn't in the game, here you go. Now, the final tip I got for you today has to do with the night vision mode. First of all, you may have noticed on several different maps, there is actual light switches throughout different areas of the map. What these will actually do, if you have enemies within this area, it will actually temporarily blind them, which you can take your night vision goggles off and actually see better than they do. It's a very tactical move that sometimes pays off and sometimes absolutely does not. On top of that, in the night vision mode, if you didn't already know this, there is actually some scopes that work. Normally, if you're using a holographic or red dot sight, you won't be able to aim down sights. You will simply turn your weapon to the side and have to use a laser sight. However, if you're using certain ACOG scopes, you can actually use them to aim down sights and see a little bit farther. In other words, they work with your night vision goggles. So when you're creating a class for a night vision mode, you may want to pay attention to certain scopes like this. So ladies and gentlemen, those are 10 things you probably didn't know about Modern Warfare. I know this episode is a little bit more basic than the normal things that we cover, and don't worry, in future episodes, we will get much more in depth. So as I said earlier, if you do enjoy this type of series, you want to see more like it, the best way to show me is by hitting that like button. Also, if you have never seen this series before, one thing I'm going to do in future episodes is take your comments of things that you want me to test out, try, or maybe something weird that you found out in game. And if it's something that I use, I will actually feature your comment on a future video. So feel free to let me know down in the comments some certain things that you'd like me to test out or try within Modern Warfare. And of course, if you like what you see here and want to stay up to date on all of my videos, the best way to do so is make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications on. Tomorrow, we've got a big video coming. It's one that has to do with the story of the game and a theory that I have been working on for the past couple of days. So if you enjoy those kind of theory videos that I often upload to my video, make sure you stay tuned till tomorrow's video, because trust me when I say this one is definitely a good one. But guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, guys, peace out.
Listen.